It's so nice out today, so I thought I would do a little walk and talk. Check on my trees. I've been putting collars around trees so that the beavers don't eat them and so that the vines don't smother them and kill them, which is the most common way for trees to die here, just after they're sprouted and vines grow over them and strangle them. The bells of St. Rita. I wanted to talk about why I became a neurologist. People ask me that question a lot, and when I think back on it, I don't know. By accident, I think, mostly, or maybe not. I'll tell you, and you can be the judge of that. I think I wanted to go to medical school because I wanted freedom, which seems like an odd choice in many respects, but I think I was correct. Freedom to be what I wanted to be and do what I wanted to do. Becoming a doctor is just a matter of gaining a credential, and there are many ways that you can be a doctor in the world. And I've always practiced as an independent physician, a free agent, if you will, which has its advantages and its disadvantages. The disadvantages are, number one, companies will pay physicians a lot of money to tell them what to do. So the biggest advantage of being independent is that I can choose what I want to do, how much I want to do. And so that idea of freedom got me into medical school, and then I'm a doctor, and it wasn't very clear that that's what I wanted to be, that I had made the right decision. So when I graduated medical school, I just applied for an internship, a 1-year internship. And I figured that something would happen. Or maybe I would not be a doctor and do something else. And at some point during my internship at Emory, a person who had been heading into the residency program the following year decided to become a psychiatrist instead. So a spot opened up in the neurology program. And I guess I had considered the possibility of being a neurologist or a psychiatrist. I always thought that to do something over and over and over for decades, especially in medicine, if you're seeing patients regularly, year after year after year after year, it would be a good idea to be interested in that particular specialty. And neurology and psychiatry had been, I guess, interesting to me. But when the spot opened up, I thought, okay, yeah, let's do it. And it seems so obvious in retrospect that it seemed like a good fit. But at the time, it just felt like an accident. And then when I finished neurology residency, and I still didn't know what I wanted to do, so I moved to New Orleans for a fellowship, which was immediately interrupted by Katrina a month after I moved to New Orleans. So that sent me to Catahoula, back home. And I saw Catahoula again, and I appreciated it. And I was interested in it, and I began to photograph it and study it in the downtime after Katrina, where I finally, after many years of training, I had some time to, not be a doctor. And I'd just been given a camera as a gift. And then when I finished my fellowship, I stepped into that first year of being a doctor with the idea that being a creative person was as important to me as being a physician. And I had not given that pathway enough consideration or respect until Katrina brought some clarity, and I realized that I wanted to be a creative person, and I wanted to be a physician. And when I accepted that creative vocation as a lifelong goal, my resistance to being a doctor evaporated. And so I've always practiced independently and with one foot in creative pursuits and the other foot in clinical medicine. A combination that is not always met with respect or applause on the part of some physicians who feel as though if you don't give 110% of yourself to medicine, that makes you less of a doctor, which is not true. In fact, I think the opposite of true. The opposite is true. That you can't squeeze more than you can squeeze out of a person and just have them see more patients and in shorter amounts of time, and think that that is some mark of success. Everyone involved in that process suffers from those expectations. But anyway, so pulling back or not giving yourself fully to the practice of medicine can be met with, suspicion. I told someone once that I was a part-time neurologist, and they said, that sounds shady. You're not rewarded for deviating from the path. Anyway, so I finished my fellowship in New Orleans, and I got a call one day from someone who I'd met at a lunch or something, and I said, I was looking for a job. So I got this call from Dr. Ralph Lilly, who at the time was probably in his early 70s, and had this really deep, gravelly voice. And he's talking to me on the phone, and he's trying to get me to visit Houston. He's telling me about his brain injury practice. And I thought, I know very little about brain injury. Am I really the best person for this? And so I thought, well, I'll check it out. And so I've been in the brain injury space in different ways since then. That was 20 years ago. So why did I become a neurologist? I think those were the doors that happened to open for me at the right time. And I've gone through different answers to this question when I've asked myself this question at various points. Knowing what I know now, would I still become a doctor? And I think the answer has to be yes. But I am going to take that idea of what a doctor is, or what a doctor can be, and I'm going to do it in my own way.